That's a way that our generation especially has been wired, is that debt is such a bad negative thing. And don't get me wrong, like consumer debt, yes, our country's in a complete disaster when it comes to consumer debt and car debt and bad debt. They never teach the opposite kind of debt. They only teach the bad debt. They don't teach leverage debt in our public education system.
Welcome to the Scale Nation podcast. My name is Manny, and I'm here with my co-host Zach and Carl. I think he's having technical difficulties, but he might be able to join us here later. And today we got our guest here, Tyler Thompson. Tyler, nice to meet you. It's really cool that you can be
Nice
here
to
with
meet you.
us today. Can you introduce yourself to the team here?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Manny. Thanks for having me on. Obviously, our first meeting, but I know Zach well. So, gonna jump in there. I'm Tyler Thompson, co-owner and CEO of Realty One Group Landmark. Also own 52 regular doors and now 6 Airbnbs as of last week. We just closed on our sixth, so into
Oh,
the short-term
congratulations.
rental game as well. And Zach's an agent inside of our company. So when Zach invited me on, like the basis and the name of the show. So I don't agree to these too often because I get a pile of requests, but like the
Really?
Yeah,
basis of it. So by all means.
yeah. No, I
Well,
appreciate you
thank you
coming
so
on,
much for
Tyler.
joining
I really
ours.
do. Uh,
Yeah.
Essentially, we talk real estate all the time,
Mhm.
here on Scale Nation. But what I want to really dig down into is how you grew Landmark from 5 agents to what are we at now? Over 200?
Yeah, 252 as of an hour ago.
Awesome, awesome.
That's
Like that
awesome.
is that is how many years did that take?
That was over 4.5 years now. So we're coming
That's
up on our
quick.
fifth year. So it's been a quick pace. And so, yeah, and built my rentals in that same time frame too. So, post COVID has been a whirlwind for me. From 2021 forward has been an interesting ride for sure.
That is amazing. You said that you own units yourself, right? Are those multifamily units or more single family
Yeah,
games?
I have a combination of everything. I have as high as a 7 unit property and then, as low as, just the single family stuff. And most of my Airbnbs are, single family or condo in that space. And then I do have one just in my hometown in Indiana, Pennsylvania, that is
Mm,
Airbnb here too. And a lot of people think Airbnb or short-term rental and they think vacation market only, but I'll say one in a little college town in Pennsylvania sometimes outperforms some of the vacation markets. So
really? Wow.
don't look past some of that stuff.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah, that's very insightful. Zach and I are actually purchasing a couple, I think one unit in Indiana, trying to close on
Okay.
it here.
Yeah.
Uh, I had a question for you. So you mentioned that you're doing multiple things. Are you doing property management as well, or just
Not
the acquisition
currently.
side?
We've thought about the property management side. It's honestly Pennsylvania's law makes it a little bit weird with owning a real estate company and owning a property management company, and it's quite challenging with trying to separate the liability of those two things because, as you guys know, the liability in managing your own properties, let alone managing other people's properties, presents its own sort of challenges. And and the regular residential commercial real estate brokerage represents its own sets of risks and challenges. And so it becomes hard whenever you have to license those under one broker of record and one entity, and then your risk just doesn't always make it worth it to head into the true property management side. It's tough. You really do got to separate those two out, and then how do you go back and forth between the two hats and multitude of hats, as you guys know.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But one of the big things I want to drill down here, Tyler, is like what was one of the main things that happened for you that really helped you scale?
Yeah, I think on the brokerage side, scaling through just relationships and conversations. When I opened Realty One Group Landmark, as Zach said, I was a team of 5 agents, and the kind of concept and idea was to just come here and open a small office, and myself and my team will make more money. And then if a few other people join, great. And next thing you know, 6 months later, we had 40 agents, and like, hey, this kind of works. But those were all 40 people that I had relationships with. Those were, 40 people that I had done transactions with, that I had stayed close to, that I had kind of warm relation of, hey, if hypothetically I ever did something, would you do it with me? And so I just think building through relationships has been the key thing. And I think it works that way, not only on the residential brokerage side, but on the scaling your apartments and short-term rentals and things of that nature too. Is it's a lot of now people call me, I don't have to go seeking the deal. One of my properties in Myrtle Beach, I just got the phone call about a week ago that the neighbor wants to sell. So people start to to come to you and say, hey, you buy these things. And that's kind of been the way, with Realty One Group Landmark scaling too, is geographically, we're now up to 14 offices all throughout Western and Central PA. And a lot of those have been the same way. It's just one relationship leads to the next, which leads to another conversation, another market. And it's just you're always coming at it from a place of, hey, let's form this friendship and form this relationship, and then eventually sometime we'll do business together. Versus I think so many people want to like go in for the kill right away. I mean, Zach knows this. I bugged Zach probably 3 years ago now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like a
And I
exactly.
just
Pokemon.
It was
about
funny because yeah, when I got my license, I get a text from Tyler like, "Hey, you want to get some coffee?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm
yeah.
good." And then about a year later, I'm like, "Hey, dude, you want that coffee?" Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just it. I mean, a lot of this takes time. I have agents that are joining us right now that I had conversations with 4 years ago.
Wow.
It's just those relationships where, a great example is I was at a team lead and manager broker event in Greensburg, and a girl that I had dinner with after the event, she says, oh, all these people in this room just want to recruit, recruit, recruit. And like, I'm just here to be friends with you people, and if you decide to join later, great. So it's just kind of a byproduct of it in the end.
I think that echoes my skill base a lot. I'm not as well versed as you or Zach into real estate game. I'm just getting into it, you know? And I feel
Sure.
that because I'm trying to get into it, I wasn't looking for anyone trying to sell me anything. I'm sitting there trying to make friendships, people who've done it. That way, if I have any questions down the road, hey, how'd you handle this? Hey, how'd you do this? And then I finally met a really good group of people who said, copy and paste. If I can do it, you can just copy what I do and paste it. And I was like, that echoed so well with me. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then too, yeah, I mean, one thing will build into the next and build into the next, and you're not even looking for it. We just opened an office in Franklin, Pennsylvania, in Venango County, and I wasn't looking for Venango County. They called me. So you never know, where the next opportunity is going to lay at, when you're just doing the right things and doing it for the right reasons.
yeah, it's that
So what I'm
relationship, and then
hearing,
it's that being ready for take on those opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is putting yourself in a position where you can, right? Where you can say yes to that. And I know sometimes that's the hardest part is sometimes opportunities come to you when you're not ready too. So
Hmm.
having that willingness to
I've been
figure it
there.
out. I think that's the toughest part is when the opportunity knocks when you're not ready, and that's hard. And you got to stay, one step ahead in the sense of having your staffing figured out and having the right people in place so that you do have the ability to grow to that next tier. Because I think that's an important thing about scale is there's going to be those building block rings, right, where you have enough staff and now you can get here, and then you don't have enough staff, and you got to reset and get somebody else, and then you can go to that next tier of trying to hire for where you're going instead of trying to hire for where you're at, which I know is uncomfortable for a lot of people, and why a lot of people can't scale is because they're uncomfortable putting that kind of cart before the horse kind of scenario there.
No, I get it.
You got to have that
Yeah, I'm
initial
hearing a lot.
investment in the business in order so that way you can grow. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm hearing a lot of locations that I'm not familiar with. Do you do any investments, and I guess all of in rural PA or in like the cities?
Yeah, it's for me it's been I've had a lot of success in rural.
Oh,
Where I live in Indiana, Pennsylvania, so I have units here. I obviously have an office here. From there, that took me out to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, in Cambria County. Same thing. I have an office there. I have rental units there. There's a couple surrounding small towns that then I bought units in around there. And then that kind of spread out to Somerset, Clearfield, DuBois, Punxsutawney, over into
wow.
Katanning, then end up in
I know
Franklin.
Katanning.
There we go. And over into Butler, and then I got a call about a year and a half ago now from Cameron Yockey, who owned Realty One Group Horizon, and he said I have all these other businesses and I'm scaling all these other things, but I love all of those, and I just like running a brokerage. You're the only idiot that loves running a brokerage, so will you acquire these offices too? So those are Murraysville, Cranberry Township, Natrona Heights, and then it was the rights to the Pittsburgh office, so we just opened in Pittsburgh as well. And
Oh,
and yeah, my
congratulations.
units are all spread out throughout that market, kind of following the same map. And then then I got into the short term rental thing for kind of the same reason that Zach and me were talking about with Myrtle is just to have a place to vacation and pay for itself. And same thing, you start doing well, and then you're like, oh well, that one's booked, I got nowhere to go, so then I bought the next one.
Yeah, I just saw you purchased in Tennessee. Was like
Yep,
that one was
yep.
a surprise for me because I mean I've seen you all your units Airbnb wise are all Myrtle, one in Indiana, and then bam, Tennessee, and I'm like, oh,
Where in Tennessee? Gatlinburg?
Gatlinburg, yeah.
Hey, that's a good
Yep.
one. That's a good place to
Yep.
purchase. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just bought in Gatlinburg a little over a week ago, and yeah, that just becomes the scale thing in diversifying a little bit too, right? Where
Right.
I have three in Myrtle. I popped back and I bought one in Hidden Valley Ski Resort, which is in Somerset, Pennsylvania. And the idea of that was it kind of operated like a duplex then, right? Where I have these at the time I had two in Myrtle, and they're obviously peak season summertime. And then I was like, okay, we got to fill these gaps in the December, January, February. How do I do that? Well, let's get a ski place, right? And so then that's going really well, and we still have like this, little bit of a gap in the fall. And where's the peak season in the fall? Okay, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, because everybody goes and looks at the leaves and whatnot. So I was like, where can we fill that gap? So then it ends up, kind of operating, more in that multifamily type aspect because you're a little bit more consistent than just having one beach house, for example. Zach
Right.
knows the game there of
yep,
the peaks and valleys.
yeah, exactly. I'm waiting for the busy
Where
season in Myrtle right now because that
yes.
one in Myrtle is not pulling its weight right now, but
Yeah,
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 that's
where
interesting
it's
thought.
yeah, so it's just trying to backfill those little bit of gaps. And so I think my next is Panama City, Florida, because I still have a little gap in like that February, and they get good seasonality in the February market, trying to snowbird that.
So you're running the short-term rental game, same as you would just any investment, real estate investment, where you can see you buy one, two, three properties, and then once you hit that 10th unit, you kind of see
Mhm.
it take care of itself as far as a portfolio, because the more units you have, they cover their expenses inside the portfolio.
Yep, exactly. And I've ran kind of everything that same way, right? And I think we follow the same mindset there, Zach, is anyone that's getting into investing, like get to 10 units as fast as possible. Like
Mhm.
whatever you got to do, just get to 10.
Yep.
Why is that?
Because there's no money until you're at 10.
Really?
Because it's a
Wow.
constant reset, right? Where if you have four doors and a furnace goes down, like that's all the money you just made is going into that furnace, right? Where if
Mm.
you have 10 doors and a furnace goes down, oh well, the other nine have paid for that furnace plus some. And it's the same thing with, the real estate brokerage, as we had one office, yeah, if we had a top producer leave in one singular office, that can gut a real estate company overnight, right? Whereas if you have 14 offices, somebody walks out the door, and sure, it sucks, it hurts, it's not fun, but financially, it's going to be okay. And then now, same thing that I'm doing the short term rental side is like, yeah, when we just had the one beach house and yeah, roof went bad. There's a $10,000 roof. That's a reset when you have one, right? When you have six now, and yeah, I'm trying to get to 10 short term rentals now. When you have one, that roof sucked. That was not fun. But we just replaced AC on one of them. Not a big deal, because there's five other ones that are carrying the weight when you go through that. So yeah, that's always my thing is whatever you're doing, do it times 10 because that's the only way you're gonna make any money
Mhm.
at it.
Yeah, that that actually brought up a book title for me that I've read before. 10x is greater than 2x. That goes for everything. Like it's easier to scale at a larger, higher level than it would be just to double your efforts. If you 10 times your
Mhm.
efforts, it's a lot easier to manage. But you just got to be ready
Yeah,
for that.
absolutely.
And I think that goes in line with what you said about having the team in place prior to scaling that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's always the most careful thing is you can't sit here and say, hey, I want to go from, in the brokerage side of things, you can't say I want to go from 25 agents to 250 agents and expect that support staff to look the same. So that's tough. And same thing in multi-unit or short-term rentals. You can't sit here and say, hey, I want to have one unit and I want to go to 10 and I want to have 10 units and I want to go to 100 and everything to look the same at those different points. And I think so many people don't want to adjust or look at scalability that way. I just recently was at our summit conference for Realty One Group, and that was one of the owners out in California. He said that it was his realization, right? Is he had to start thinking through, is this scalable? If it's not scalable, I have to stop doing it. Because you get to a certain point where you realize that like, you have to set your life up for scalability or it's set for failure from the beginning because you can't keep doing those things as you do scale and as you do get bigger. So I thought that was, important to kind of start from the beginning of is this process scalable and just keep asking yourself that.
Yeah, it's a lot different to manage 10 units than it is to manage 100. You're right. The
Yeah.
the way I managed the first 17 units I purchased is a 180 degree difference than how I manage the 78 now.
Mm.
Absolutely.
And also the softwares you use to manage them, right? I remember Zach was telling me
Oh
earlier
yeah.
that you had to scale up to that folio because Buildium was just not, it wasn't really helping him scale to the way he was trying to do.
Yeah, Buildium
And
wasn't
he has a
helping.
mission to get.
So we're scaling that folio because now we're taking on these new 28. One being right in Katanning on Market Street. I'm gonna pick your brain about
Yeah,
that, Tyler. But um,
absolutely.
but prior to even Buildium, I used a software called Tenant Turner, and it was great. It was great
Yeah.
for 17 units, but not for
Yep.
what I have now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I mean, and that's sometimes the painful point is when you're sitting there at 70 some doors and you're breaking it down your entire system and starting over, like
Hmm.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Like there's a serious heavy time lift on the front end of that, but you just got to know like, hey, that's the only way we're going forward is we can't keep doing what we're doing. When you get to a certain point and you want to scale, right? Is some people are very happy with their 10 doors as their little side hustle and that's okay too. Don't get me wrong.
I think
But
those
yeah,
people
for
look at
people
that
that
look at that as eventually these will be paid off and it'll be my retirement. But you know,
yes. Yeah, for people who are looking to do it, large scale, even 50 doors is what I would even call a large scale at this point. That's but people that want to go to the 100, the 200, the 1,000, those are certainly different conversations, and they need to be set up, for success from the get-go.
Yeah, I just implemented. I mean, I just implemented some AI receptionists in the business now. But I was
Hmm.
doing that. It was like midnight the other night over the weekend, doing that, and getting up early, going to bed late is kind of when you got to put that time in. Because during the day,
Yeah.
I'm putting out fires. I mean, I know you probably know
Right.
that, Tyler, 'cause I think I remember you say you were up at 4 a.m. every day.
Yep. Every single day. And that's where that started, right? Is like I heard that at a conference years ago that every hour you wake up earlier is 17 more days a year. So like I used to wake up at 7, and then I was like, shit, I need another 17 days. So I woke up at 6, and then I was like, man, I need another 17 days. So I woke up at 5. I need another 17
Wow.
days. So I woke up at 4. So it's, and yeah, to Zach's point, like the world wakes up at 9, right? So like your phone is just nonstop from 9 on. So if you can put in those 4 or 5 hours in those morning hours, and I know some people say the same thing about night, but for me, the world A doesn't seem to shut down at night the way it does in the morning.
I
and
think
and
it's the
and B,
business
I'm
we're
just
in.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and and B, I'm just fried at night. Like
Yeah.
by the time I make it to that end of the day, I'm just like, yeah, I'm done. So I'd rather just clean sweep it for me at 10 p.m. and be up at 4 a.m. fresh and ready to roll. And yeah, to Zach's point, I mean, when you're putting in the grind work, like setting up the all the automations and everything for these short-term rental properties, like there's a lot that goes into the front end of every single listing to completely optimize and automate and get things ready. And yeah, I mean, I was doing that at 4 in the morning. I wasn't doing that at noon on a
Mhm.
Wednesday. I was doing that at 4 in the morning, getting all of that built out and ready to hit the market. So yeah, I think that that is what has to happen is in this industry, no matter which end of this industry you're in, you have to realize that this is not a 9 to 5. This is
Mhm.
so much more than a 9 to 5. And two, I think you have to accept that it's kind of a short term suck for that long term gain. Where I remember the years of my residential sales production years where I was selling over 100 houses myself on a personal level. I remember having my young kids, my kids are 8 and 5, having, a 5 and 3 year old, and I'm driving by the park on a Saturday because I'm going to show 47 houses that weekend. And everybody else is at the park, and I'm thinking, man, I'd love to be at that park. Well, guess what? Now I can be at the park.
Hmm.
uh, you know, so it's just that temporary. You have these 5, 10 year windows of your life that if you get right in those spurts and hit everything on the head and just outwork everybody in those spurts, you can come out of the other side a lot faster than the average person's going to come out the other side. And the other
No.
side for most people is 65 years old.
Yeah.
Where you can really accelerate that and have the lifestyle that you want a lot faster if you're just out there absolutely grinding in those 5, 10 year spurts.
Yeah, it goes down to like choosing your hard. What hard do you want? Do you want to work hard now, or do
Yeah,
you want a hard life in the future?
absolutely.
Then when did you get to the point to where you guys want to be no longer working, right? Because I remember we had a guest last time. He said, if you keep doing this, you're just building yourself another job, right?
Mhm.
So is that how you guys feel now? Do you feel like you're building something that you can manage and you don't technically need to be there, but it's good to be there because you're still enjoying it.
Yeah, I think for me it was I think all of us that are in this have some strange form of ADHD in some facet. and uh and that was my
Yeah.
problem pre-real estate, right? Is like a regular job wasn't challenging enough, or it maybe was challenging and could keep me occupied for a year, for 2 years.
Hmm.
Where with this it's always like it provides its next challenge, right? Where it's okay, I did the solo agent thing, right? I was a very successful solo agent. Okay, then I was like, all right, I want to build a team now, right? So then I build a regular sales team. Okay, that went well, right? So what's next? Own a brokerage, right? So then you start owning a brokerage and you're like, wait, well, I can own real estate too. Why don't I own real estate? So then you start doing that, and then you're like, well, okay, I got this long-term rental thing figured out. What about these short-term rentals over here?
Hmm.
So it's always, that next challenge, and then it's okay. Well, I've scaled this to 50 agents. Why can't I scale this to 100? Okay, I've scaled this to 100. Why can't I scale it to 200? So I think it's that repetitive chase. But to your point, Manny, you are working yourself into another job. It's a different job, a different challenge. For me, it was working myself out of production, right? Where I was a producing agent, a high level producing agent, but like I could do that without thinking, which is not like to be cocky.
It
It's
gets
just I was
boring.
on, yeah, so I was
Yeah.
on such a repetitive pace of, sell 100 houses next year, sell 100 houses next year. Like, and for a lot of people like that's their dream, right? But it got to the point where I was like, okay, well, we've done that, let's move on. And so working myself out of production, and yeah, I probably worked myself into more of a quote unquote job than being an agent. But now I can be in Myrtle, I can be in Tennessee, I can, I can take this call right here from anywhere in the world. Versus when you are in those production years, like, yeah, you're there, your boots on the ground. And so yeah, I think with scale comes work, but it comes more flexible work
Mhm.
than your traditional 9 to 5ers or your producing agent. You got to be there. Where at a certain point you can at least scale yourself to the point where you, yes, are working on the beach, but you're at least on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, Nikki and I have talked about this quite a bit actually, because we're obviously scaling and we're trying to automate some things and make things a little bit easier for us where we can work from anywhere. And we've had the conversation of like I've mentioned to her like I want to be have able to have her be able to retire at 50. And she's like, I don't think I'll be able to retire. I'm like, well, here's the thing. Retiring means that you can have the
Mhm.
opportunity to not work or work when you want or
Yeah.
wherever you want. Like what we're trying to
Yeah. I mean,
build is
I'll
just
I'll say when I started the real estate brokerage, yeah, my goal was to retire. My idea of retirement at the time was leaving production. And my goal there was 48, and I did it at 34.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, to your point, Zach, like that was my idea of retirement, was
yeah.
that I was going to stop being in production. But you're right. I mean, what is retirement in this industry
It's whatever we
is
make it to be because we've had this
yeah.
conversation that Nikki and I were like, I don't think I'll ever be able to stop working, right? Like
Hmm.
it's just always going to be going on in my head and I'm always going to have new ideas and it is what it is. I'll always be involved somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of the things that I set up too, is I always look short-term rental wise, like, can I drive there, A, if I needed to, and B, is there a direct flight that is like an hour and a half?
Hmm.
Because, yes, I have this large scale, but if I, for whatever reason, needed to get on a plane and be here in an hour and a half, can I? Yes. Okay. I've done that. I've woke up in Myrtle and hosted evening trainings in Greensburg at 5 o'clock. Like, nobody knows that I wasn't sitting in the office all day. So that's I think what scalability provides you is more of that flexible job, that I think a lot of people are looking for right now. Is that the concept of freedom. And I always use the word. So many people want to use those words, work life balance, and I hate that. It's work life integration. Like, that's
Mm.
what we're looking for. Is a place where you can work and integrate your work into your daily life every single day, and still be able to live that life. Versus this idea of work life balance where you're totally gonna shut it down one way or the other is just unrealistic in my opinion. Where if you can just integrate it into your life, then it's not work
Yeah, I
anymore.
like that. I like that because so many
Yeah,
people
especially
they don't
especially
understand. You
for
can do
entrepreneurs
years.
like us because we're always just on our minds are always running.
Hmm.
I don't think I can ever shut it off.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my wife yells at me sometimes for that. Is, do you ever want to talk about anything other than work? No, no, I don't.
Yeah, yeah. Wife and I have had that conversation as well. My kids have told me that. My kids like have told me that you'll only ever talk about work. So it was funny that day. We sat down for dinner, and I was silent. And like, what do you want to talk about? I says, well, I kind of want to talk about real estate, but you told me to.
Just
You banned
thinking
me from
ahead,
that
thinking about
topic.
if I did this way.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think I like your work-life integration. So many people work for so many years and fail to integrate work into their lives, and then they just feel like I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking if you did integrate it, you can realize that you can probably even consult or do all these other things that you can still make money just, and enjoy what you do.
Oh, and two, I think that we've become a nation of side hustles and odd jobs, and I love that, right? Like when I was coming up as an agent, even like I worked four part-time jobs plus sold real estate. Like so many
Wow.
people are so like, oh well, I am a full-time realtor. This is what I do. There's no reason why you can't be doing multiple things, right? And you don't need to tell anybody that. I never went to a listing appointment and said, "Oh yeah, I have three part-time jobs plus I sell real estate." I said, "No, I sell real estate." Like,
Yeah.
but I was integrating it all, right? Where I was doing insurance inspections on the way to show a house, right? Like, why not? You're already there. And that's gotten easier now with DoorDash and Uber and all of these things. It's like there's no reason why you can't be doing that and building a real estate portfolio or being an agent, alongside those side hustles as you're just trying to stay cash flow positive in those building years. It's a nation of side hustles right now. Like take advantage of opportunity,
Yeah.
and I think so many people are afraid to do that too, where it's like it's beneath them in some way. And those building years where I was working four jobs and selling real estate, like nothing was beneath me.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I
whoever
drove school
would,
bus for a while just to get some
yeah,
extra. I was up at 4 a.m. driving school bus and then on my way, after parking the bus to the full-time job. But you do what you do. But I think a lot of
Mhm.
the culture wise, it's still integrated in everyone's head that you go to school, you get a good grade, you go to college, get a degree, get a good job, and work for 40 years and retire. Well,
Yeah,
I don't want to have to travel and enjoy my life after 65.
yeah, yeah. That's a tough way to live, and unfortunately, even obviously scale come and got into that yet on this, but just to touch on that, I know I have a lot of conversations with agents who want to become investors, right? Where they're like, okay, like I'm ready to take that next step, right? And it's always, once you get into the conversation of using debt as leverage and scale, then you can just see it shut down, right? Because their entire life, to Zach's point, has been
Yeah.
programmed of debt is bad, and my only job is to go to school, get a good job, and pay down debt as fast as possible, right? So I think that is
Yeah.
such a way that our generation, especially, has been wired. Is that debt is such a bad negative thing? And don't get me wrong, like consumer debt, yes, our country's in a complete disaster when it comes to consumer debt and car debt and bad debt. They never teach the opposite kind of debt. They only teach the bad debt. They don't
Mhm.
teach leverage debt in our public education system. And I just think that's such a huge missing piece at the end of the day is, I mean, yeah, I mean, me sitting here on this call, I went full Dave Ramsey first, right? Like, and I tell people that all the time too. Like, yeah, like there is a point in your life where that is the route you have to go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like you got to get rid of the car debt. You got to get rid of the student debt. You got to get rid of the personal real estate debt. Even my house was fully paid off. Everything was paid off. And then I went $3 million in debt.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's super scary. But like I mean, that's the only way you can scale at
Scale.
that
Oh my
level
God.
that
Yes.
fast.
Yeah, I mean, I
Uh,
can't even talk to
yeah,
my
I mean,
family about how much debt I'm in right now because it scares them.
yeah,
Being
yeah.
millions of
They don't
dollars
get
in
it.
debt, it blows their mind and they get scared for me. What they don't
Hmm.
understand is that debt is being paid for by my tenants.
Yeah. Yeah. Other people are paying the debt. You're not paying the debt.
Yeah.
Exactly, you're making a profit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at, I just took out a $500,000 mortgage in Tennessee that when I break it all down across that portfolio, like that property is going to cost me $700 a month. Like, in what world
Yeah.
And you
can you
live
have a,
anywhere for several
yeah,
hundred dollars a month, right?
exactly. So
That's
it's like
crazy.
when you get to a certain scale, it's like, yeah, you can do those things, and it's like it's not really a risk position because obviously I'm going to make more than $700 a month.
Yeah.
So I think that that's, an important lesson that people don't understand about scale and about debt, especially, is like, yeah, let the other people pay it down. And, at a certain point, your leverage is so high across the portfolio that, doing a $500,000 project is $700 a month. It's not, it's not going to kill you.
Yeah, yeah, and utilizing other people's money too, because there are some people out there that have the money, that have the jobs that pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but that don't invest, but maybe can learn to invest with you by lending their funds, and that's
Hmm.
a kind of
Absolutely.
a way to utilize their funds and debt as well, without actually out having to put any funds into any of the deals. But
And it's
again,
funny
that's
too because I
scary for
I was
people.
trying to grow, yeah, I was trying to grow into syndication to have, help people learn how to use their funds, etc. And it turns out that a lot of them are scared of having their money hold down that they have no access to for 5 years. So when I pivot that to, hey, you can do a lend and then you get like a fixed interest rate every single month, and I work on paying that off as quickly as possible by refinancing buildings that I purchase. Then it suddenly became, oh, that's way more desirable than because then I know even if it's 5 years, they know that they're getting that fixed interest rate payment every single month, and they're way more
Yeah,
willing to do that than anything else. They see
absolutely.
it as a
Yeah.
side hustle.
Yeah, they see that as a side hustle versus, if they're invested in the market, A, there's no hard asset behind that. And B, yeah, you're not seeing that money till you're 60
Yeah.
years old. You're not
Yeah.
getting that little bit of a check every month. It's just sure, maybe it's up 13%, but it's just it mythically up 13%. It's not hitting your bank account every month, which I think that people like for obvious reasons.
Yeah, you kind of can just replace their income, as obviously,
Hmm.
you have $1 million lent out. That's actually $10,000 a month that we would pay in income to these investors. Those people who don't want I guess they don't want to plunge a toilet, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah, they
that
don't
Right.
want.
stereotype of being a landlord. I don't want to be plunging toilets. I don't want to have to get those calls at midnight to go fix something.
Absolutely. Yeah, they just want to be able to disperse their money out and let their money work, which is, I mean, it's a fine game plan. A lot of people do quite well, on that side of the circle too. So not to discount, those guys and what they're doing and their game plan, but I think it's not enough thrill of the chase for me personally. But
No, no.
the real estate guy is always the broke one in the room, Money's all
Yeah.
spent elsewhere somewhere.
It's always being used somewhere else for something.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, Tyler, we're actually Manny and I we're hopefully closing on a property in Katanning, Market Street. It's a
Yeah.
Hmm.
10-unit building. It's got two retail spaces. I think we got some great opportunity there. What
Yeah.
advice do you have for us in renting retail space? Because I know you already have some as well in
Yep.
Youngstown
Yeah.
and Katanning itself.
Yep.
Especially in
Absolutely.
rural PA because you're specialized in that area, so it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do well in Katanning. I do have property in downtown Katanning. Our office is one of them down there, and you'll be surprised. I think a lot of it is a networking game in small towns. So you'll be surprised where your tenant's going to come from. It's not your traditional paths. It's boots on the ground effort. Unfortunately, when it comes to the retail spaces, because the 700 shop is done, right?
Yes,
They're
they
out
are
of there.
done. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. So now you got to find what is that? Two storefronts.
Yeah, that's
Two.
two. Yeah, absolutely. Two retail spaces.
Okay.
So yeah, obviously boots on the ground, but I mean, as far as you have your residential tenants, But now, so what have you found to be the difference, biggest I guess
Yeah.
challenge?
Yeah, they're harder in the sense of what class are you looking for, right? Because your obvious tenants right now are smoke shops and gambling shops, right?
Yeah, no
Skill
kidding.
Hmm.
games and smoke shops. That's
That's funny.
that's your two you will get 35 calls from as soon as you put it on the internet. Guaranteed. And two, you have to watch. I don't know the building code for that particular building there, the zoning. If it's I'm assuming those are zoned mercantile. Do you know?
Not right off the no, not right now.
All
No,
right. Yep.
but
So that's something to check.
yeah.
You can go mercantile to office. You can't go mercantile to assembly without redrawing the entire building to International Building Code, which is a headache in itself.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
for example, in the back of our office in Katanning, I wanted to put in a golf simulator because it's like 20-foot high ceilings. So I'm like, hey, I'll have my office up front, we'll have a golf simulator in the back. That building was mercantile, and a golf simulator is considered an assembly. So I'd have to redraw the entire building.
Hmm.
Now I can go mercantile to office because that's less people, right? There's less people in an office than there is in a store. But they consider more people in a gathering place than in a store, which is where the assembly code comes
So it
into
sounds like we're
play.
just considering kind of fire code. How
Yep,
many
exactly. Yeah, how many people
Hmm.
are
people?
going to be there? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would assume that those are also mercantile because I saw a skill games place, for example, go in a few doors down from me and they went right back out.
Hmm.
And I assume that's what happened is the code enforcement knocked on the door and said, "This is an assembly. You need to do this. I mean, this is a mercantile space, and you need to do this to make it an assembly space." And they said, "Not worth
Hmm.
it." Which is unfortunate. Because I mean, you guys have been to Katanning. How many vacancies are in Katanning? Like they're everywhere, on Market Street. So that's tough, and that's what I always set myself up for when buying places like that. Is like, do I have a need for it? So for me, that's my real estate office, or B, am I okay if
Hmm.
the retail spaces don't rent, right? Does the
Which we
deal
did check.
still, yeah, does the deal still make sense? And it sounds like for you guys, the deal still makes sense, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So if the deal still makes sense and that's
We
just like your gravy on top, it's
Yep.
fine.
Yeah, we've actually underwrote it. We underwrote it without the retail spaces.
That's perfect. That's what I would recommend every
Yep.
single time in those is because you just want those to be like the cherry on top because it is boots on the ground community driven where you're going to find somebody that way versus obviously a regular residential tenant you're going to fill those with no problem. Like you'll
Right.
always have a residential tenant, never a concern. Um quality of tenant sometimes in rural America is
Yeah, I've had my
interesting.
experience with rural Pennsylvania tenants, so that's
Yes.
not a problem.
At
So
least from what
quality
I
of,
hear, they're really good about cleaning and taking care of the contract servicing themselves.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
So
what we have, yeah, exactly. What we have out there, a lot of rural tenants do expect to have to take care of the snow, have to take care of the lawn care. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I mean your retail spaces. I think for Katanning, you're just going to need to really hammer home on getting involved in DKI, which is a local networking group, Downtown Katanning Incorporated. So getting involved in that,
mm,
getting involved with Experience Armstrong, which is like the tourist bureau for there, but they kind of run the chamber too in Armstrong. So getting involved on that level to find your tenants, and then people will call you at a certain point, right? Like the there's a little tiny back room in our Katanning office that is rented to the Democrat fundraiser. So like they came to me and said, "Hey, can we rent this little back room that you're not using?" And I'm like, well, if you come in and out the back door, sure, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because political, you don't want that on the front of your building because that's a scary line to walk in. But yeah, they were using the back doors and have at it. And but then I just had another guy call me that has he is making coffee, custom coffee packets and stuff like that. And he just called and said, "Can I rent the back room in that office that you have?" And I was like, "I already rented, surprisingly. I didn't know there was such a demand for
For a back room
this
office, huh?
little 150 square foot room. I didn't know there was a demand there." But
Some people just want to have an office space, you know. I'm efficient once I get my own office.
well, and two, I mean, I think that's the way commercial is going in general right now that we're finding is smaller space, right? So, that might become your thing where it's kind of a shared space type atmosphere that you're going to have to rent out too. And don't be afraid of that, I would say, in those spaces, because I was just out scouting office spaces in State College, and like that's what they said they're struggling with is they have these monster vacancies in the commercial and industrial realm in Center County because everybody stopped working in those kind of spaces where now they're refabbing a lot of these spaces into like 100 square foot class A
Hmm.
offices that you can just rent out that little cubicle. So I think the same thing in retail is you're going to see more like just up the street from that building on if you're going towards the courthouse on the right hand side, they turned a larger retail into I think it's called the Katanning Market, where it's a bunch of little vendors inside there who all have their little individual shops. So, I think something like that is where these small towns are going, as much as I would love to strip down the building code and say, pull whatever you want, just fill the damn place.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
And
it's a big trend with everywhere. I mean, nationwide, you see, especially after COVID, a lot of office spaces are vacant.
yeah, yeah.
Work from home atmosphere. Never really came
Mhm.
back in office. And what that did, they decided to do a hybrid kind of model. So yeah, you do have a lot of vacant office space.
Yeah, a ton. I mean, the building next to me in Katanning that used to be the Rite Aid, it's still sitting vacant, and an investment group out of Detroit owns it. And it's like stuff like that is a shame because not that we don't use these plays too, but like all they did was they bought it because it was cheap and they did a cost segregation for the tax write-off. Like that's all
Mm,
that was because
Hmm.
it's a 10,000 square foot brick building. So the cost seg comes in massive in comparison to what they actually paid for it.
hmm. Yeah. That's interesting
So
that
they
that's
paid
all
like
they use it for, buying it up and just having it sit there.
yep.
You know,
Yep, they paid
I
$85,000 for it and probably got a $600,000 valuation on their cost seg.
okay.
So they
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
got a hot.
the Rite Aid in Indiana, Pennsylvania here, it's going to sit empty for a while, and
Yeah.
it's kind of sad that that space is sitting there
Well,
doing nothing.
it's the same thing where you have 5,000 square feet, and it's like, so even if it's $10 a foot, it's still unaffordable for
Yeah.
the majority of businesses. So I mean that's the problem that you run into is you get down into these like $10 to $15 a square foot, and it's still unaffordable for most businesses.
Hmm.
Where for you guys' deal, I think you'll be okay. A, because the residential is going to carry it, but B, those are relatively small spaces. How big are those square footage wise on the retail?
I'd say they're maybe two and a half. I mean,
Yeah.
so 2,500 square feet
Yeah.
per side.
Yep.
I mean, it's not huge,
Yep.
which is ideal. But I mean, just to throw it out there, I had a thought the other day. I was driving past that Rite Aid in Indiana. And I was like, oh, that'd be a great place for an arcade. Why? Because the high
Yeah.
school walks right by it. They always go right to the
Uh-huh.
sheets across the street, and I'm like, let's have them stop on the way in. And Nikki looks at me and goes,
Right.
yeah, but where are we going to get the money to buy it? And I'm like, well, we'll see. It'll be empty for a while.
Yeah. It'll sit there
Yeah.
for a minute. Yep. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta let them realize they need you.
Yep.
um But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think you guys will be fine. And two, don't be afraid of scouting places in town that are already in a retail storefront that are kind of jammed in there too.
yeah,
Like the dress
yep.
shop right
Hmm.
next over across the street,
Right, exactly.
the
That'd be
2,500 square
great.
feet.
Another thought that I had too is
Yes.
we actually did the podcast we did last time was actually inside a studio. Me rent a studio, which was great. It was a wonderful concept.
Yeah.
And I looked at the lady and I said, "Hey, well, how would you like to be, put a studio up in Katanning?" And they're like, "Well, maybe that's where I'm from." And I was like, "Let's take a look at that." Because
Nice.
yeah, so
Yeah.
just going into these businesses and actually having those conversations is kind of what we're gonna have to do. And I think that's a lot
Yeah.
of I guess what we've talked about tonight. It's that relationship, growing and scaling your businesses to growing and scaling real estate portfolios or just getting tenants. It's a conversation. I think has been the trend of this entire uh, session. It's actually very important to have and build those relationships.
Yeah, yeah, I think you even nailed it. Even finding tenants, I
Yes.
don't even advertise places anymore half the time because I already have this recurring relationship with this tenant wants their friend to live here and so on and so forth. And so yeah, I mean it's all relationship driven from building your business to building your portfolio to finding tenants, and especially I think in that commercial space, Zach, when you're talking true like retail commercial real estate, Ben Roth, who you know,
Yeah,
Ben will tell you all day long. It's just that game is all relationships.
yeah. It's all getting on the phone and
Uh,
talking, meeting these
yes.
business owners, and yeah, exactly having
Yeah.
that relationship with these people.
Yeah, yeah, finding who is the player that steers the ship at XYZ business. And yeah, a small rural town, it's a little different in that way because obviously they're not represented by anybody. These are small businesses. These
Hmm.
are little mom and pop shops. These are not, Dick's Sporting Goods not showing up in
Right.
Canning, Pennsylvania anytime soon. So, it is that boots on the ground effort of who are the small business owners, who are the networkers in town, who has something that has the need for space, that you can feel good about it too, because we already mentioned you'll have 30 calls from smoke shops and gaming places and
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be
and
absolutely honest, my opinion is a little saturated. It's a little redundant and ridiculous. Why do we need 10
it
smoke
is.
shops in
I
Indiana,
agree.
Pennsylvania? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, and not to knock on anybody's business, hey, whatever, but
right, exactly. If you're profitable, great, good for you. It's just not where I want to look at, putting it into a space that I have.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's strange to me that a small town can support 10 of those. But
And isn't that crazy? Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Is it really
no.
bad in
Uh,
Indiana? From what I'm hearing, you guys,
no,
you guys have them all
it
over
is
every corner. I
it's
didn't even see
crazy.
it when I was there.
We
Yeah, I
have
mean,
we have
we got
smoke shops, pizza shops, and chicken places. That's it.
yeah, and they're putting a Chick-fil-A in too. Uh,
Uh-huh.
No way,
Yeah,
Yeah.
really?
so
Yeah, they
yeah,
just put a
India,
Popeyes and a Raising Cane's, and then they're right down the street said, yeah, let's put a Chick-fil-A in
Chick,
here too.
yeah.
We don't have enough chicken yet.
That's awesome. I
And
mean,
that goes and that
Chick-fil-A
goes to
does some
show.
good work on like market research. So if they're willing to put a Chick-fil-a out there,
Oh
That's
yeah,
what I
no,
said.
absolutely.
Anytime you see Starbucks and Chick-fil-A in a town, you know to go there,
Yep.
right?
right,
Because
right.
yeah, those two companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars on research, market research. So like just follow their map.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
something's going on there, because they always get there first before anybody else.
Exactly. How do they do that? This is a small town.
Starbucks
Why is it a
especially.
Starbucks?
Yeah, Starbucks always is ahead of everybody else, and you're just like, I see what you're doing.
Yep. Yep. It was good news when we were talking with the sellers of Grace Valley Apartments before we acquired that when they told me that Starbucks was going in down the street.
Uh-huh.
Like
That's
Yep.
that's
Yep.
good
at that
news.
point, we were like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're good. We're golden. This is gonna turn
Yep.
around.
Yeah.
So
So they've put way more money into market research than me and you ever could. So
yep,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, but I think you guys will do well on that building. I looked at the numbers on that building in Katanning, and it made sense. I just I don't love flood insurance. I think that's my only holdup from buying more in downtown
Yep.
is
Yep.
flood insurance sucks. So I don't know if you've gotten your quote on flood insurance down there yet, but if you haven't, do that.
Oh, I got a guy. Yeah, I got a guy.
Uh-huh.
The last time
Yeah.
I had flood insurance on a property, actually, it wasn't that bad. I had multiple quotes on this one property, and we're talking thousands of dollars for one of the quotes, and then the other one was $500. So I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely going with that one.
It depends on who you're getting with, I guess. Yeah.
It
Exactly.
does.
Yeah.
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 You can
So
get it cheap down there too. It's just I don't even have that building leverage, the one that I own in Katanning. It's free and clear just because I didn't want to pay the flood insurance.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep.
It's just a personal thing. It's I
Yeah.
don't know
And
why.
and
It's
it's
just
not going to cost us that
I
much,
think
but
it's because like flood insurance doesn't actually cover anything. I think that's why like I have this mental block around flood insurance. Is like
Wait, what do you mean by that? Does it cover
you
anything?
have to be able to prove that the water came from the river into your building. Well, by the time it would come to your building at the 700 shop from that river, those storm drains are so backed up into your building that like
yep.
there's no way to prove it. Like
Oh,
it's your
interesting.
actual problem is from the storm drain. Your problem is not from that river. Like and flood insurance doesn't cover storm drain backup.
Interesting.
So, it's the same thing. My building's another 2 blocks from where you guys are buying from the river. And it's like, man, if the river makes it to my building, the town
We're
is in
underwater.
Yeah.
serious
Yeah.
trouble.
Big problem. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we have a slight
Beachfront.
grade going down from the courthouse to
Yeah.
your to my building. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. But
Yeah. So I'm like, the river makes it to there. It just end Katanning. Like it's over.
The bridge is
it'll be
underwater,
it'll be
guys.
another Johnstown flood.
Yeah, it's like it's not happening.
Yeah.
So I think that's what bothers me about flood insurance is like the odds of that ever
Hmm.
paying out are so catastrophically ridiculous that I
Yeah,
just
I mean
can't get
that's also
behind it.
any insurance really too. I mean, realistically, the only reason I have to have the insurance on Grace Valley is because the lender required it. But
Yeah,
what's it going to pay out? We had a flood from a broken pipe, and we're like, we're not even going to file anything for that because
yeah,
who knows if they're going to pay out, and that just gives them a reason to increase premiums,
yeah.
Increase rates.
and
Yeah.
and so it's just sitting
That's
there,
it.
minimum, coverage that the lender
Hmm.
requires because that's what they require. Otherwise, I'm fixing everything myself. I'm taking care of everything myself, and there really is the only time I'm ever going to file a claim would be if it would go up in flames.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
it. I mean, even when we put a new roof on our Merkin during Hurricane Debbie, that it finally leaked. Like it was old, it was needed, but it finally leaked during a hurricane. I was like, oh, perfect. It leaked during a hurricane. I have hurricane coverage. I'm good. And of course, the hurricane wind deductible is $10,000. The roof is 9,970. I was like, you guys know exactly what you're
They know
doing.
exactly
Yep.
what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I'm like,
So,
yeah, I'm not going to increase my premium when the deductible is literally the not even going to
right.
touch
Pay for the
it.
roof.
So I'm
Absolutely.
toast anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's how I feel about flood insurance too.
I mean, all insurances, but well,
Yeah,
Tyler,
my parents owned a bunch of buildings down there. Though they owned where the coffee shop is, the big blue building on the corner. They owned where Senator Pittman's office is, one over,
yeah.
and then they owned the building where my office is. I bought that off of my parents, and so I mean they went through Katanning years ago, and Katanning was quite blighted, and bought all the crap and made it nice again.
That's awesome.
That's exactly how you need to do it too.
Yep.
I mean, even today's day and age, where you're out buying, you really don't want to be buying the
No.
stabilized properties, the fixed up
Yeah.
properties, 100% occupied. You're not going to be able to cash flow anywhere near what you could if you buy the blade stuff, buy the stuff that needs the rehab, put the work into it,
Yeah.
and then you'd cash flow. It's obviously you buy the
Yeah. I
deal.
mean, even.
Yeah, that's the problem in Florida right now. Everything is really,
Hmm.
really, really expensive because
Yeah.
everyone's thinking that, oh, I'm just gonna buy something that's stabilized and stabilizes 4 million, when the one that needs some love is around, 1 million, maybe under.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. And Yeah, I mean, even these short-term rental things, like I looked at like that one in Gatlinburg, for example. Like you look at their listing and you see, okay, we got bad photography. We got a two bedroom as a true two when it has a loft that can be a bedroom. Like what are we doing there? We got it on Verbo only, and we're sitting here saying, okay, the rental is 40 grand, and it's like, well, yeah, but if you just put it on Airbnb, put a bunk bed in that loft, and professionally stage and shoot it, you're at 80, and you didn't even
Didn't
put
do
more
anything.
than a couple $1,000s in.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, just looking for opportunity, right? Of,
Yeah.
of like easy little fixes and value adds that can totally transform a property. And I think that 700 shop's a great example. Is like, yeah, that's just a place that doesn't need much, but you have serious value add there on the back end. So I
Yeah.
think you guys would do well there, Zach.
So
10
Okay.
total, and
Yeah.
with the two residents,
Mhm.
two retail.
Cool.
I had a question regarding, because you're an expert in the rural areas. What's your opinion about Marble, PA?
I don't even know where that is, Manny. I gotta look that up.
That does not bode well.
All right.
Marble, PA. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Farmers of
Let me
Marble
find it.
Insurance headquarters is in Marble, PA. That is north. That's by
All right,
Fryersburg.
I see it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's up towards Franklin, where I just was.
Yeah. So part of this portfolio we're buying is actually it's 10 units that is actually up there.
Mm,
Yep. But we're
that'll be
talking
fine.
yeah. We're talking small town, very rural area. It is currently fully occupied.
Yeah,
Yeah, fully
And
occupied.
I'm sure the rents are low. All right.
a little
Oh, yeah.
lower than
Yeah.
average, but I mean, we're still talking, $600-700.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought I was thinking like those 450 kind of markets.
No.
Yeah. There's two people that are paying 450, 550 that'll end up going up, but the rest of them are. I mean, there's actually one in that whole area that's actually paying over $1,000.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think
So
you guys will be fine there then, because I assume the taxes are low.
yeah, taxes are low, very rural.
Yeah. That's what I like about these rural things is you tax rate so much lower than, as you guys know, investing in Allegheny County. That's the hard part is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the taxes. Yeah.
Yeah, taxes.
Tax bill is rough.
We got that bill today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even Armstrong's high. Armstrong's stupid for what they offer. Like, there's nothing there. And what are the taxes on the 700 shop?
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Probably.
I have to pull it up.
Yeah.
But
Probably decent, and probably $4,000 or $5,000 at least, which is crazy for what that town offers. It's like, and they can't figure it out because like Butler County is exploding, and because Butler County, the taxes on a $500,000 house are $1,200. Tax on a $500,000 house in Armstrong, which is right next door, are $13,000. Like, gee. So they can't figure that out downtown. Is like, building owners can't cash flow unless it has the residential above it. Like, if you just have a standalone commercial building and you have $5,000 taxes, like, that doesn't work for the normal mom and pop shop business. And they can't get it together down there. I've told them that for years, but my dad fought that fight. I fight that fight. My kids will fight that fight.
I'll join you.
Yeah.
I'll join you. We'll both show up in places and
Right.
talk the same thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, cool, guys.
all right.
Yeah, anything else?
We do really appreciate you coming on here.
Yep.
Absolutely, blast having you on. It was great information, great conversation. And like I said, I think the biggest thing we get away from this is just, in order to scale, have that conversation, build those relationships.
Yep.
I think that's for everyone.
All
Absolutely.
about the relationships,
Yep.
for sure.
Absolutely. Very good, guys. All right.
All right.
Well, everybody have a good night.